What's up, CoinZone fam? I just sat down with Ox Manuel and we talked about the massive evolution that just launched on Cardano this month. He's a community builder, a content creator, and a social media manager for Metra Protocol on Cardano. He just revealed why he thinks ADA and Midnight can both reach $5 and why Midnight might even be an even better play over Cardano in 2026. No financial advice, buckle up for this one, and if you're a part of the ADA gang, let me know in the comments. Let's get right into this. Alrighty, so you are a community builder, you are a content creator, you're a social media manager for Metra Protocol on Cardano, and last but not least, you are a Midnight ambassador, and that's why we're here today. We got you, Ox Manuel, to talk about Midnight and ADA. But Manuel, how are you doing, brother? Thanks for joining the channel.
Thanks, Paul. Thank you very much. I'm good. I'm doing good. How you doing one day?
I'm great. I'm just excited to talk about Midnight. I definitely have a lot of questions prepared for you around that. Obviously, it just launched as of late.
Yeah.
But one of the first questions I would just want to start with here is, why do you personally think that Midnight could be the biggest token in 2026?
Okay. First of all, we need to look at the narrative around Midnight, right? What's the narrative around Midnight, and is this something that we need? Personally, I think Midnight is one of the biggest innovations of our industry in crypto because for the past few years, I think we are currently since our adoption almost 14 years now since Bitcoin launched, right? So this is one of the most disruptive technology that's come out of our industry. So it's pretty big. Why? Because why I think so is because for the first time, users get to have control. Like people get to have control. Right? We get to break away from the centralization that have plagued people. So I think that's the big thing for me. The fact that people get to control, their data, which is pretty big, right? So that is the biggest part for me, to be honest. That's why I think Bina is going to be a very big deal.
So Zcash has made a huge surge. These privacy coins, Monero, Dash, are all basically coming out from the dead, I would say. But
Yeah.
why do you think, what separates Midnight from those older, ones? Is it the fact that it has the smart contract, the programmability behind it? Like from your perspective, what it makes it different from those previous ones?
Okay. Personally, I before I got signed up for Minute Ambassadorship. Not been too long. I didn't really have a technical background, right? So I don't really know much about the privacy stuffs and the rest, what Zcash and the rest we are doing. However, we are for ambassadors we try to go through a crash course that has to do with to give you, for those of us that don't have technical background, right? So they try to brush you up and give you they pass you through an academy. You go through the academy to know how the technology itself works. You understand? So, but what I think is the major difference between Midnight and other privacy narratives that have been flowing around for a while now, because I know it's been a while. We had some of these narratives like Zcash, like Monero, and Zec, right? So um, I think the major difference is that Midnight is a complete it is more holistic, right? Most of them, like Monero, they are basically just about transactions, right? They shield transactions, like the privacy that they offer, the privacy service that they offer has to do, it's just transactional, right? But Midnight in itself is an ecosystem on its own. Like it's a full system. You can build infrastructure on it. It's just like a complete layer. So there are a lot of things you can do on the Midnight blockchain that you cannot be able to do on Monera and say Zcash, right? So you can build health, systems on, for example, start having people like the health industry partnering with a lot of partnerships coming up from the health, especially from the health sector, right? So trying to partner with Midnight to take advantage of the technology itself. So I think it's the feature it offers. Other people offer privacy services, right? Privacy features, but Midnight basically offer more privacy features. So I think is in terms of depth, right? That's what differentiates two of them.
Yeah, and Midnight actually just recently partnered with Nexus Health. So
Yes,
you gave a
exactly.
good example in regards to the real world use case when it comes to
Yeah,
that. Are
yeah.
there any other areas that any other partnerships or any other ways where privacy and Midnight could help outside the healthcare system, just practical use?
Yeah. For example, okay. For example, I stay in Africa, right? So we tend to look at the current use cases for cryptocurrency. Where I live in Nigeria. Nigeria is currently the leading cryptocurrency nation in Africa. So in terms of both stable coins adoption, in terms of cross-border payments, these are the drivers of crypto adoption in Africa. So when you take a look at these things and the narrative surrounding it, you discover that Midnight in itself can offer more because when you talk about privacy, for example, your data, not just in the health sector, in finance, it's practical. You can use it in finance, right? You can put out a number of, the thing with Midnight, sorry, the thing with blockchain is that blockchain is good in itself, but we need to be able to select what we can put out there because it's a public ledger. You understand? So because it's a public ledger, everything is very transparent, very open. But we need, and that was what Charles was talking about. So we need a situation whereby we can select what's out there. Yes, even though we want transparency, but can we have selective transparency? And that's what we talk about. That's where stuff like zero knowledge proof comes in, whereby you can be able to prove authenticity, still being able to control what you put out there. So the real world cases is enormous. You can use it in finance. You can use it even in what's it called, in industry, right? So a lot of real world use cases, just like we are seeing currently in the health sector. So we're having currently many partnerships there, and then I think as more and more, because it's still probably mainnet, not really gone live fully, but as more and more as we go on, we get to see more real world use cases, right? So I think that's it.
Yeah, Midnight is dubbed as quote unquote the rational privacy using
Yes.
the zero knowledge proof technology. So maybe to some skeptics and newcomers who think, there's how is this going to be compliant with regulations? How would you dispel that possible misinformation and tell them how Midnight actually is very compliant?
That's kind of a very big deal, to be honest, because if you take a look at privacy and crypto in itself, there are bad players everywhere. You understand? So I think we are compliant. To be honest, we are really compliant because um, if you look at partnerships in terms of countries, anyways, it depends on where the person lives. Though it depends on where the person lives and depends on the narrative surrounding and then the government policies. Some government policies are more stricter than the other ones. For example, if you look at places like, I don't think anybody will have a problem with in Dubai, when you live in Dubai, because Dubai is a more compliant, crypto compliant country than most of other nations. So I think government, first of all, would have issues with government because government want control, right? So, but as we see over time, we've been having a little bit of progress in that particular regard, especially with the Clarity Act and some other acts that have been coming up in the US and other countries. So, I don't think there's going to be a problem. We can be very compliant, to be honest, especially with the Clarity Act. We can be very compliant.
Yeah, so Midnight, after launch just recently, quickly became the most traded in regards to volume and just the biggest native token on Cardano.
Yeah,
It's even entered the top 100, and now I believe it's in the top 50 of
yeah,
all cryptocurrencies, which is just absolutely insane.
it's insane, man.
So,
Crazy.
can you maybe describe for us the process in which that kind of happened? There was the Glacier Drop. It was fair launched right from the beginning, and I believe it was the biggest airdrop that crypto ever seen amongst different communities like ETH, XRP, etc. So, how crazy was that, and why did Midnight kind of go? I guess with that process.
Yeah, Charles is a purist, right? Charles is a purist. I mean, Charles is one of the most. I'm sorry, I'm not a human worshiper, right? But Charles is one of the most innovative founders we have, especially in this, in our industry. And he's a purist, and he's also humanitarian. So he's very very big on doing things the right way, and he's also a moralist. So if you take a look at the route which he followed, even when building Cardano, it's almost similar because at the end of the day, he's very big on interoperability. Because if you look at the three trilemma of crypto, we're talking about security, talking about centralization, I was talking about scalability, right? So I think he built on first principles majorly. So and then when he was trying to build Midnight, he was trying to like, okay, what can I do that can bring the entire industry together? Because it seems as if everybody fights everybody. Solana hates Cardano, Cardano hates Solana. Oh, that kind of stuff. Ethereum people. So that kind of stuff. So it was like, okay, what can we do to bring the entire industry together? We shouldn't fight ourselves. You get so. Then he began to create Midnight. I mean, Midnight is one of the most awesome project I've seen, to be honest, in a while. The level of expertise that was put into creating Midnight is unmatched, to be honest. I'm not trying to say otherwise, but people that know, Even look at the tokenomics too, it tells you a lot about the product in itself. So then he began to consult and other stuff. That's why he went through the route, the Glacier Drop. He wants to bring all the ecosystems together. He went through the Glacier Drop, and then the process of it, right? So Charles is trying to be like a unifier. Okay, so that was why we had dropped, to other ecosystems. I think about 8 ecosystems got airdrop, over a period of months, using the Glacier Drop. Right, I think the Glacier Drop is I think before night really. I mean, I'm gonna have to recommend you to a content, the material, the whiteboard crypto for midnight. I think everybody should go and take a look at that material, the whiteboard crypto for midnight. He did it for Cardano too many years ago, but he also did, sorry, he also did it for midnight. So I think you should take a look at that product. At that, then you understand the concept why Charles went through that route. You understand? It's very, very big. So that's what Charles did, right? So he went through that, it dropped to Solana, everybody got, other ecosystems to got, and then also Cardano too. So I think that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to unify everybody and he's trying to bring everybody together and see what we can do to move the industry forward. Because midnight basically is not just about Cardano, it's about the entire crypto industry. So that's what he's doing. Yeah.
You had mentioned the tokenomics about it, and you've also made statements and tweets on your X page in regards to ADA being quote unquote oversold and undervalued. So just going off of that, could you maybe explain how Night can have an impact on that, and then maybe just call the tokenomics behind Night? I believe it's a cap supply at 24 billion tokens.
Yeah, it's a total. It's capped. It's hard capped asset, 24 billion, and currently 16 billion circulating supply. So I think, right. The major problem with Cardano started out very fine, right? It started out very fine, but at some point we lost momentum, especially in 2020, 2021, during the starting of smart contracts, right? Smart contracts, and Cardano actually was top in terms of smart contracts in 2021 before Solana came and then took over. You understand? And then rode it from there, right? And then but because of the way Cardano was designed in such a way that was very decentralized. So, and because of decentralization, there are some foul plays that can't happen. Me and the crypto industry, you know how crooked crypto industry can be, right? So there's some things you can't play on Cardano. So over time, we began to have lesser use case, and then a very big problem began to happen, which is problem of one, volume, and then number two, liquidity. So these two major problems plagued Cardano for quite a very long time. And then as we progressed, we began to, okay, what can be the catalyst? I made a recent thread about what can catalyze the growth of the growth of Cardano. And midnight happens to be, for me, in my opinion, that major catalyst that Cardano actually needs. Because take a look at the first 24 hours of the first few days of when Cardano, midnight launched, the amount of volume, and then midnight, of course, is of course the partnership for Cardano, right? So if you take a look at how much impact night alone has had on Cardano, we've not had that in a very long time. We found ecosystems coming, found liquidity coming, even though it affected the ecosystem a little bit, but the amount of attention that was drawn to Cardano, we've never had it in a while. You understand? I think we had 3 days ago, we had over $1.1 billion worth of volume on a CNT on Cardano. It has never happened before. Do you understand? So that level of impact, right? I think it's something like, and then to have a product which is a CNT, CNT means Cardano native tokens, right? So to have a Cardano native token generate that kind of traffic genuinely, do you understand? Like a genuine traffic like that, it is basically like a very, very big deal. So that is why everybody is very bullish, because this is what this is what we've been talking about. We're clamoring for volume, liquidity, and then here we have it. And then of course with the pentad structure or pentad proposal being ratified recently, Cardano has a lot of things coming up in the horizon. We have, because I don't know if you know what the pentad structure, a pentad proposal is. The founding entities came together, and then they decided to come together and then find out how to move the chain forward. And then we passed a proposal that was voted by the governance structure of Cardano, the reps and other structures. So they were able to come up with 5 proposals that would push Cardano forward. One of them is liquidity. Another one is oracles. Another one is there are about five of them. I can't really give you all of them, about five of them. So all these things, if it's been sorted out, right, we'll find out that Cardano will move forward. Now we've already integrated Pyth, which is it's one of the two most used oracles. That's Peace rather, Peace and Chainlink. These are the two major oracles, right? Even the US government uses Peace. I'm sure you're aware. You saw the news. So all these things are things, right, that will catalyze the growth of Cardano, and Midnight is playing a very, 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 very important role in that. So that thing.
Yeah, and one of the other catalysts that has been proposed by the Pentad is stablecoins.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Exactly.
my question is with
Yes.
Midnight, what is, and I know this has been talked about before, but maybe you can explain it for the audience. Is there a possibility of a private stablecoin coming to Cardano via Midnight?
I don't know, but they've been talking about it. To be honest, I'm not going to give you much on that now, but it's been talked about because, in as much as we all want USDC on Cardano, but I think Charles is saying that because one of the things Charles said that one of the things he said was he admitted that he made a lot of mistakes when building Cardano, and he likened it to be like when you married and you have your first child. There's some mistakes you make with your first child because your first time parent, right? Then when you have a second child, you not correct those things to your first child. You understand? So that's what child is trying to do. So yes, I believe because I've seen it. I don't want to give out misinformation out there, so that's why I'm being very careful. But I've seen somewhere that yes, he wants to bring in a private stable coin from Midnight to Cardano. So I've seen it, but I can't really confirm anything for now.
And mainnet, or excuse me, Midnight's mainnet launch is projected to be in 2026 next year. So, in order for that to happen and to go smoothly and successful, what's the roadmap? What's the plan of execution to get there?
Okay, they just had the Midnight Summit in London. I didn't go because I was not already onboarded on the Midnight Ambassadorship program. All this I know was just as a result of my being involved in the ambassadorship program for a while now, just not too long ago. Yes, so for the roadmap, we'll go mainnet next year. He's going to Japan in January, so he wants to do a tour in Japan. I think that's the most immediate one, because he did his ICU for Cardano in Japan. So Charles is a very big fan of the Japanese market. You understand? So he wants to start with Japanese store, and then from there he rolls out the other midnight the roadmap rather in 2026 and beyond. So I think for that we'll get to see more. Charles is a little bit of tight-lipped now, so, but he told us that we shouldn't worry, that we're going to see but I think Charles, because according to him, this is going to be his last cryptocurrency project, right? So he's making it pretty big, to be honest. So we can expect more. So in January we'll start in Japan, and then from there we'll push up. We'll take it up from there, obviously. Yeah.
So, what advice would you give Cardano holders then when it comes to Midnight in regards to possibly allocating some of their ADA into CNTs like Midnight? Do you think that is right now is a great opportunity to get Night at these levels, as maybe ADA once was back when it was 6 cents or 2 cents or whatever? Do you see a similar opportunity there?
Bro, I kid you not, man. Night is like it's a gift at this prices, man. To be honest, Night is a gift at this. I'm not trying to shield, but I'm trying to say at this prices, Night is a gift. We also Cardano, at 6 cents, at 4 cents, 2017. You understand? And then we also ride up to $3 or thereabout in a few years, 2021, right? So it's basically going to be the same thing. We're going to see Night personally, right? I'm going to see Night hit $5 in a not too distant future. So getting Knight, why? Because it's not really because of anything, but because it has reward value. This is something that everybody needs. Everybody's talking about, right? Everybody's really seeing the value of it. So right now, it's not just building on hype. It's not just building on anything. We are seeing reward use cases. People are adopting the technology. People are talking about the technology, and the infrastructure is already there. So man, at these prices, bro, that's cheap, man. That's really cheap, to be honest. So our advice, yes, and I think that impacted CNTs for a while because people were selling, CNTs to be able to get into Night because it really affected, CNTs for a very, very long time. So that tells you that how much belief people have on Night. So I think it's a very big deal. Get in.
Yeah, and one of the partnerships that Midnight already has that I believe was announced at one of the conferences recently, a couple months back, was with Google.
Yes.
So before, and Zcash and Monero, they don't have partnerships like this already. So how big of a leg up do you think Midnight already has over these other privacy chains? And it's not even on mainnet yet.
Bro, Midnight has already had over 100 partnerships currently, right? Over 100 partnerships. The technology is insane, man. I'm telling you. So, and Charles is still being tight lipped, but I know that the last announcement we had over 100, we've currently, Charles said we've had over, I think it was the president of Midnight Foundation said we have already over 100 partnerships. It's glaring, right? It's glaring. Zcash and the rest, they are doing very well. Probably after now, I'm going to have to go, Quadrado, I'm sorry, Dr. Quadra, that's one of our community members on Cardano. He's very good. He's a very, very technical, he's a very, very good technical guy. He understands these things very well. So he wrote a thread on what differentiates Midnight from Zcash and Monero. You understand? I think you might have to, go through the thread and then check it out. So the difference, like I said earlier, is infrastructure, man. You understand? That's what differentiates Midnight from these other projects. You understand? And we are still early, right? So it tells you how much we can do from here. You understand? It tells you how much we can do from here. So there's a lot we can do on mainnet. We've not gone mainnet yet, but we already have 100 partnerships. That should tell you how much of a big the technology is. Yeah.
So how has the creator experience been so far as a Midnight ambassador, maybe, with the developers, to any insight information you can share, just how the experience has been so far?
Man, it was fun, bro. To be honest, it's been fun. To be honest, it's been fun, right? I got into the ambassadorship program during the Abu Dhabi finance conference. That was at the heat of it, right? The one that happened not too long ago. So that was when we got onboarded because the application was open some few months ago, and then I applied and I got in. What intrigues me is the process, right? The process of the whole stuff of the program. And for the first time, I saw, a fair system. It's a very fair system. It was not something that was okay. It was not a picky process, or that kind of stuff. So everybody was given a fair chance. And of course, there were thousands of applications that was put in. So me getting in, it was a very, very big deal for me, bro, to be honest. And when I got in, and I saw the level of organization, you understand, that has been put in by the team, especially by the head of the ecosystem lead, that's Jack O'Connor. So um it's been intense. And also in terms of structure and organization, we found out there are two levels of ambassadorship. There is the technical ambassadorship program, and then there's also the community ambassadorship program, which is the one I'm part of. So that one has been running for like a while now. So people create technical content, and then you create content about the programming itself in general, which is where I fall in. So yes, it's been really good, and there's excitement about the content. People, whenever I write threads about, people engage, people get to try to understand, because what I try to do is I try to break it down to understand, let people know, the intricacies of the technology itself. I write about zero technology. I write about, I try to make it a little bit simpler for non-technical audience because I'm a technical writer. So that's where I come in. So yes, for the programming itself, it's been good. You get in based on the value that you offer. You understand? So and based on the fact that it's also a partnership with Cardano, it gets a lot of traction from the Cardano community in itself. So I think it's been pretty fun, right? It's been pretty fun. It's been really good working with the team and seeing it up close, how these guys have been pushing this stuff. So yeah.
You had mentioned how the other Cardano native tokens have been bleeding as soon as Night dropped. Now, how can this be reversed in the future? How can Night impact some of these protocols in a positive way? For example, with Strike Protocol, you have perpetual volume. That's now going to be, on that protocol, which is going to be a good thing. So how can Night enhance these protocols over time?
I think first of all, Cardano in itself has to, extinguish itself from the macro, right? And that is what Charles is trying to do, right? Because if you take a look at Cardano in itself, over a period of time now, when we get a couple of things, it's because of maybe the macro, and that's what Charles said. For example, maybe we get a tweet from the president, right? Then Cardano pumps and all those kind of stuff. So we are trying to get away from the macro trend and trying to have get and build the DeFi ecosystem for Cardano, so that the DeFi ecosystem for Cardano will be very strong. And I'm being fair. Cardano ecosystem, DeFi ecosystem is quite weak when you compare it to other DeFi ecosystems like Sui, like Ethereum, like Solana. It's still very weak. So that's why stuff like this do impact, right, in terms of price. When we have people selling off and all those stuff, it impacts CNTs. So over time, when we get volume, because midnight or rather night is a CNT, is a partnership for Cardano. I think on the long run, it's going to impact DeFi on Cardano because a lot of people are trying to build, take advantage of night and other stuff. Strike is going to is going to midnight. The project I work with, everybody's trying to build Titans, everybody's incorporated. So it's good for DeFi on Cardano in itself. So I think over time, the impact is going to reduce. And then with the pentad structure and then the pentad integration, all this seems to be a thing of the past. I look forward to 2026 because Cardano in itself is going to be a very, very, very big deal, and midnight too. So going forward, I think stuff like this will be resolved going forward.
And as someone who makes content on Cardano on Midnight, you've been doing it for a while now. What is one of the biggest misconceptions that you see? People talk a lot of trash on ADA, and it's probably going to start now with Midnight as well. But what is that one of the biggest misconceptions about the blockchain?
I've had people attack my personality because I believe in it. I've had people cuss me out, man. I've had people say all things. I mean, the amount of hate I've had, and I'm like, what is going on, bro? This is just you get. I mean, it's been insane. At some point, people don't really believe why. Why they don't understand why I'm so bullish on Cardano. But for me, first of all, you need to understand why I came into crypto, okay, and then what brought me into crypto, and then so much belief I have on Cardano. It's not because of anything. It's because of I believe in first principles, and I believe in the principles of Cardano, how it was built, right? So, and I believe it was over time. Personally, I believe Cardano is still very much undersold, and I think, and I keep saying it, and even this young man, I was on a show recently, not too long ago, Digital Gold podcast. So he came up with a very, very wonderful model where he's able to value assets based on what he called crypto fair value. So he came up with the model. He calls it, I don't know if you heard of it, he calls it the crypto fair value. So he, and it's based on math, right? It's purely based, so it's not something you can, it's like it's math based. So it's very, very believable and achievable. So he values Cardano at 5%, at least $5. So based on fundamentals, just fundamentals, based on Cardano's core fundamentals, is valued at $5. So I believe so too, right? That Cardano can, has is massively undervalued. And then of course with this thing, as a catalyst, we're gonna see Cardano run. If we had Cardano run to $3 without smart contract in 2021, and without a very, very big buzzing community, without governance in 2021, man, Cardano is undervalued. And we're talking about a cryptocurrency asset that has maintained top 10 for over the past 7 years. Cardano can't just die. It's currently it's a $16 billion market cap economy. So, man, sorry, we're not going anywhere very soon. I'm sorry, haters, but Cardano is going to stick around for a while. Yeah.
So they're part of the Midnight Protocol is also introducing another token called Dust, and both of these tokens have their own utility behind it. But can you explain just for the average listener right now what is that Dust token? Like, what is the use case behind these two tokens?
Okay, I believe Dust is going to be what you're going to use to earn fees. Sorry, to pay for fees. I've not really gone into the economics like in full detail, but I know what we have right now is on Cardano, we have what they call Babel fees. Babel fee was recently, what's it called? It was recently, it started recently after the last upgrade. So we have what they call Babel fees, whereby you can use any CNT token to pay fees as your fees instead of ADA, because normally you use ADA as to pay for fees, but now any CNT token can be used to pay for fees. You understand? So I think it's the same thing. So when you earn, like probably you use the ecosystem and then you earn night, so you can use the dust, right? The dust, the dust itself to as fees, right? Rather than using night. I think I'm going to write a trailer now. I'm going to have to go through that a lot, and because I don't want to give out wrong information about it basically. Because like I said, when you get onboarded to midnight, you go through a crash course, right? To take you through the way the ecosystem works, for a while. I think for a period of 3 months. So we're currently on it. So I think that's it. So by the time we're done with the program, we'll have more robust understanding of how the ecosystem works in itself, both on the technical and also on the on a non-technical basis. So yeah.
And Bean Crypto just launched their breakthrough of the year, and they announced that their winner was Midnight. Out of
Yeah.
all these projects, why do you think that is? Why is Midnight getting that much attention right
Bro,
now?
let me tell you, right? 99% of crypto projects fail. You know this. We have little PMF in terms of PMF. There are little projects that have PMF. Currently we just see just about three projects, or rather three narratives that have product market fit, DeFi, stablecoins, just a few of them. Because 99% of projects on crypto fail. Why? Because they lack real world applications. You get a lot of people have come up with very, very nice ideas, come up with very, very good ideas and everything. It just didn't work. We've seen it over time. Projects rug after a while, and then with the injection of VCs and other stuff, man, crypto has not really lived up to the expectation of what we expected it to be upon launch. A lot of people are bullish on Bitcoin because we thought Bitcoin was going to be like the next big thing, was going to replace fiat currency and all that. Currently, we've not yet seen it. We're still battling with adoption globally. You get so we don't have real world use cases for blockchain technology yet. That is why most of these projects fail. But for the first time, we're seeing a project, right, that is appealing to everybody, that everybody is seeing, and everybody is, very, very bullish on. And we are seeing how it can be applied because, man, we have big ecosystems taking advantage of, for example, the compute is being run over by Meter. Your data is being, is being assessed, harnessed by what's it called, by these big companies, and they're using it for their private gain. That's why you have targeted marketing, targeted, that kind of stuff. So everybody wants to have access to their data. How do we do this? So Charles came out, and then with this technology from IOG, they were able to build something that the real world can use. Right. That is why it's like the breakthrough. Of course, we've had other technologies and other stuff. And I tell you, over the couple of months, we're going to see much, much, much more, much, much more. I think it's a very, very big deal that Bean was able to, and it was not influenced, right? It was not influenced. It was not a paid award. It was just something that they felt like, okay, this is the next big thing in the cryptocurrency. Like I said earlier, man, a midnight is a very disruptive technology because over the past few years, we've not seen a technology that has had so much reward application as this thing. So it's a big deal, yeah. It's a big deal and a very, very welcome development.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the data aspect of things. Charles recently gave a very funny example on X recently of how important it is to be in control of your own data. When recently, in adult websites, premium users' information got leaked. So
Bro,
if you
crazy.
don't want your information out there, and for those types of scenarios to happen, you're going to want to have a private protocol where you're in charge of your own data, as you had
Exactly.
mentioned. And you also had mentioned compute power and how Meta, all these companies are building data centers and they're kind of taking over. And this is for a push for AI. So like the compute power, the building of the data centers by Meta, you had mentioned Amazon,
Yes.
Tesla. This is all happening in large part because they're building for AI models to scale up in large part. And in crypto right now, there's projects like BitTensor or Render or the Akash network where they're kind of helping lend that compute power and help with the advancement of these AI models. Do you think Cardano or Midnight can also benefit from that somehow?
Paul, this one is a very, very hard one to be honest, because those guys have money, man. Those guys have money, and they inject a lot of millions into these models, and there are a few industries, right? What AI is doing is really scary, man. It's really very scary. But I think we can compete, right? We can compete with this. I think with Cardano and with Midnight, that is why at least with this model, there is one of our ambassadors that came on. I think the lead ambassador for the technical, that we call it the elite ambassadors on Metra Protocol. How did she get on board? She's a 55-year-old woman, by the way. She's 55 years, and she got on board to Midnight because of her data, how her data was used, how she was misused, how the horrible things that happened to her because of these censorships, this power that these guys have over her. So with regards to your question, I think we can compete with Midnight. Midnight gives us an edge. I'm currently writing material about midnight on the current reward use case, and I think it's going to be big because we see people have control. Because, man, there are a few apps that we can use these days that that don't. Data is such a big deal, right? That people can do anything just to have your data. I'm not going to call the name of the app, but we discovered that that app is not. They said it's encrypted. It's not an encrypted app. There are a few apps that are really encrypted. So we use some of these things, and then we discovered that, man, your data is not really your own. So, and with this, I think there are projects coming up on Cardano. They're actually taking advantage of it. For now, I've not seen any yet that's really coming up. But in terms of compute, I know Iagon is doing something in terms of compute. Trying to compete with some of these guys. Iagon is like a very, very big deal, trying to take advantage of the infrastructure, and they're also building on night. I think the founder talked about it. So yes, I think over time, a couple of people will take advantage, because I know Cardano is a peer-to-peer reviewed, the blockchain. So they are very academic, right? So people will take advantage of these technologies. I'm sure that Igon is already doing something about it. Yeah.
And one of the other big narratives right now in crypto is RWA, real world assets, the concept of tokenizing assets and putting them on a blockchain.
Yeah.
Now, I haven't really thought about this in depth, but I'm curious if you have. Can Midnight do that? Maybe a private asset? Is that a possibility in the future?
The thing with Midnight is that you can build anything on it. So the reason you can build anything on it is because it's selective. You can select what to show on the public and what to not show on the public. So I think this one, I don't think it's going to be a problem. You understand? Because, like I said, it's selective disclosure, right? Because it's selective disclosure, you can choose what is visible, what can be visible, and what can't be visible. You understand? So yes, you can do stuff like that, on the Midnight blockchain, and it can be very transparent. So I think ultimately it boils down to what you want to be seen, what you want to put out there to be seen by people. So yes, I don't think it's going to be a problem. So for privacy can be included in all the sectors, in real world assets, in DeFi, anywhere, But it just depends on what do you really want as a builder. What are you looking at, right? What do you want to put out there? Because I think the sweet spot is that you have control. That's the sweet spot. So you can make it transparent, you can make it private. Anyone has to choose. I think it's good.
And one of the other big catalysts or narratives too on the Cardano chain that's been for about a year now has been the integration of Bitcoin with Bitcoin OS,
Yes.
which is pretty huge for Cardano in general. But I'm curious to know if Midnight can also have some sort of synergistic play within that too as well.
At this point, I know as much as you do, to be honest. But Bitcoin was coming to Cardano was a very, very big deal, and like for a while now, we didn't know that Bitcoin was could be that there could be more to Bitcoin than being just a store of value. You understand? So I think people are ultimately going to see that there are some things that can be taken advantage of, right? And because of the model, right? I think it can be done. I think it can be done because um I don't know. I don't really know that much because I'm trying to understand the smart contract, the technology behind Midnight and the compatibility with what's it called, with with Cardano, because I know is UTXO model, right? And also for Cardano, the smart contract language for Midnight is Malloy. So I don't really know much about that, but it depends. Because Charms, for example, Charms that is responsible for technology of Bitcoin OS, right? Is currently compatible with just UTXO chains. So it's up to them. I don't know what they plan to do, but I think they might want to ride on the wave of, because at the end of the day, people want a lot of privacy in midnight in DeFi, because what Bitcoin OS is trying to do is to take advantage of, DeFi on the blockchain, on Bitcoin blockchain in itself, right? Liquidity on blockchain. So I think yes, it can be done. It can basically be done. I believe so. I believe so.
Yeah, and speaking on DeFi, there's already some Midnight DeFi protocols popping up. One I saw yesterday that I give a follow to. How is that going to work in regards to regulations and stuff like that? Obviously, you have DEXs where some don't have KYC and stuff like that, but with a private DEX, how is that going to work with shielding the transactions, etc.?
Man, seriously, to be honest, I asked a question recently that are we sure we're not going to see a Silk Part 2? Because that was one of my major concerns. What happened to what's the name? Silk Road. The issue with Silk Road, that's Ross, what's his name again? So, bro, let me tell you, there's going to be there are bad players in this our industry. People will try to want to, boycott, and then with privacy, we are going to see some kind of shitty stuffs. We're going to see bad players coming because now people are not going to get caught. People are going to do a lot of things and then not get caught. So, but we are hoping that it's going to be used for the greater good. To be honest, so and that's where I want to be very pessimistic. I don't want to think about the possibilities, of how bad actors can overrun the technology. But at the end of the day, these are issues we're going to have to deal with over, it's an imminent something we're going to have to deal with. So hopefully we don't get to that point. That's my own.
Yeah, and it's true. The Zcash founders unfortunately found themselves in federal prison, and the
Yeah.
whole concept there is code is law or code is not law, and that's a big, big debate still
A
in the
huge
industry
debate.
right now.
A huge debate, man.
Yeah. So how do we get around that? Is there a way with the programmability with Midnight to get around that with the selective disclosure, maybe?
Okay, like I said, I'm not really that much technical. I don't really have technical expertise apart from now that I'm really going to it. So I may not be able to give you much answer to that, to be honest. So I think when I get more technical expertise, I'll probably offer more answers to that.
So what's another partnership then with Midnight? Maybe we talked about Google, the one with the healthcare as well. Is there anything else maybe on the top of your mind we haven't talked about yet that is kind of screaming is super bullish?
We obviously they partnered with Brave, right? So and a couple of others. To be honest, I don't have an idea of all the partnerships very very well right now, but the one that really clicked very well with me was the one with the health and what's it called? Um, Google, right? So that's massive, man. That's going to bring in a lot of users because we're talking about people. For example, Brave alone has over 80 million users, right? 80 million users. So these are people that are going to get onboarded to the blockchain itself. Currently, we have over 550 million users of blockchain currently, and it's projected that before 2030 we're going to be over a billion users of blockchain. So these are real world applications that will bring in users that will take advantage of the technology in itself. So yes, these partnerships are real world partnerships that offer real world services that have real world users that can take advantage of the technology. So yes, they are big deals, to be honest, very very big deals. Yeah.
And going off that, one of the things I've seen Charles try to drive home about Midnight is the fact that it's not just a native token on Cardano that just benefits Cardano. This was
Nah.
a technological advancement for the entire
Yes.
cryptocurrency blockchain industry. So how can you explain maybe for the audience how anybody, Solana, Ethereum, whatever, if they want to take advantage of Midnight, they can.
Yes, because like Charles said, he put in a lot of time and effort into building this project, and he wanted to make it beneficial for everybody. So the technology in itself is it's anybody can use it, irrespective. For the first time, we are seeing ecosystems come together to agree to one thing, that we need privacy. You understand? So both the Solana guys, both the Ethereum guys, but in fact, some of these guys are now adopting some of the technologies of Midnight and other stuff. So we are seeing the Algorand guys, the Sui guys, everybody's talking about privacy right now. Because prior to now, people have been doing privacy stuff. So right, like Sui, like what's his name? I know Sui talked about the Greek guy, one of the founders. I mean, they've had a couple of things to do privacy, but not on this scale. Do you understand? Not on the scale of Midnight. So with Midnight, you can apply Midnight technology to your phone. Like, right? Midnight can be used on your phone. The technology can be applied to your phone. You can use it to on your phone. You can take advantage of the technology. Try to use it in real world. So it's not just something that anybody can just say, okay, it's theory. It's not theory. You get so for the first time we saw everybody gather around and say, okay. And then what now typified everything was the fact that the glacier drop. That was what confirmed everything finally. With the glacier drop, we saw real world use case that everybody can actually use technology because it was compatible for everybody. If you're a Solana guy, you're Ethereum guy, you could interact with the ecosystem. So it had interoperability, right? So it's the blockchain itself is purely interoperable. So irrespective of whatever ecosystem you are, you can still take advantage of the technology because of its interoperability. Yeah.
So as an ambassador, what is the role that the ambassadors play for Midnight in regards to maybe the marketing of the product so far? Because that, like you said in the in the past, that was one of the big criticisms of Cardano, is the fact that it really didn't market too well, and a lot of the competitors, i.e. Solana, etc., did market, put that as an emphasis, and they got adoption because of it.
Yeah, so that's what Charles is trying to correct with this one. Like I told you earlier, he made the analogy of having two children and trying to fix up a lot of things with the second child. Yeah, so um, marketing is very big for any project. You might have a very very good project. I run a marketing agency, so I have a couple of people who meet me and then say, okay, I built a very very wonderful project, but nobody knows it. So you might build a very very wonderful technology. If nobody knows it, man, you're not gonna make profit. You're not gonna be used. It's not gonna be used. So one of the things he's trying to do is to correct, correct in terms of marketing, and and then hence all these partnerships coming up, and then the ambassadorship program. So yes, like I said, we have two kinds of partnerships. Sorry, ambassadorship programs. We have the technical one. It's called the elite. Then we now have the current structure of the ambassador. The technical ambassadors, they're not much. They're just 16, just 16 in numbers. It might be increased over time, but currently just 16 technical guys. So what they do is that they give out, push out technical knowledge about, educate the public about the blockchain and its use case. So for us, currently we are still at the adoption phase. My cohort, right? We're still at the adoption phase. We're still trying to understand. Like I said, we're going to have our first call with the head of ecosystem for for midnight. So from there we cannot scale up. But I know in January, what they want to do is that they want to make a lot of noise. And that is what Sui did. When Sui came up, they involved ambassadorship programs and other stuff. Currently, they're involving influencers. You need to make noise because at the end of the day, you need people to get to know about your project, about the protocol. And that's what he's trying to do, right? So Charles is doing a lot of nice things right now. He's really doing a lot of nice. He's getting it very correctly because that was the major thing that really hampered the growth of what's it called, of Cardano. So currently with all these things, we're going to help create content, make noise, and then get hype so that people get to see what the project is all about. So that's where the ambassador comes to play, because at the end of the day, I think in January too, the ambassadors will be going to, because he announced it that the ambassador will be going to ambassadors will be also be on the trip, sorry, on the tour of Japan. So these are some of the things that he intends doing. So marketing, yes, as he's pushing other aspects, he's also pushing marketing very, 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 very hard. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Sui too, because one of the big names and the figures that has been behind Sui as of late has been Rao Pal, who was previously very bullish on Solana. And I think that helped Sui a great part in regards to conversion and some of the adoption there. So is
Yeah.
that maybe, I don't know if you can maybe share this, but as an ambassador having these conversations behind the scenes, is there maybe a figure that Ada and Midnight's trying to target, like a Rao Pal, that can represent the brand like that?
No, I think they are using another model, right? Because I know one of the statements he made was head of ecosystem made was that he said that he didn't want just to bring in people for the sake of bringing people. He wanted people to come in that are passionate about technology. They want to push about tech. They want to talk about technology. In fact, we didn't even do it based on. That's why I told you that. I mean, I've never seen. This is one of the most egalitarian projects I've seen. The process. We had people with 40 followers on the ambassadorship programs. We have people with 100 followers on the ambassadorship programs, and all that. So it was not really based on, um, you know, following and all that stuff, because they said if they wanted to be like that, they would have hired a lot of people with, of course, obviously, we have people with followings, Crypto Show, Time, other people, the Cardano ladies. So they are there, but we need you to be passionate about the project, not just because you want to come and rip off the project and then get paid and all that stuff. So, but what Charles did was that he took a look at, because he said he borrowed technologies from other ecosystems. So Midnight is a compendium of various technologies. It's not necessarily an innovation that was birthed. It was something that was already existing, but he now brought it together. So in terms of marketing, yes, he took a look, because truth is, Sui did well in terms of marketing. Those guys were a beast. Ivan, what's his name? Ivan, right? Is it Ivan? Adeni, sorry, Adeni. Adeni did so well. We had, Sui in less than 2 years run up to a $12 billion market cap project. That was massive. So he did a lot of things, right? Right. One of the things he did was he used ambassadorship programs. He talked with partnerships. He had, I don't know what he said to Solana guys. He was bringing Solana people from Solana to build on, on Sui. So it was marketing. That's why I said earlier, marketing it's not negotiable. You understand? It's really not negotiable. So Charles knows this right now. He doesn't want to repeat the same mistakes. And that's what he's trying to do. So people on board right now are solid guys. Most of the ambassadorship programs are people with solid technical expertise in marketing and also as devs. You understand? So he's trying to combine everything together to make sure this project. He just doesn't want it to be another crypto project. He wants it to be something that would last for quite a while. Yeah.
So let's talk about staking. From my knowledge, you will be able to earn Night passively now if you delegate to a stake pool operator on the Cardano blockchain. For me, I stake to Dave. It's Dave, one of the biggest community members and names in the
Yeah.
Cardano community. I mean, he's great. He has a great
He's a
X
cool
account. Shout out to
He's,
Dave.
he's a cool guy. He's a very cool guy.
But can you talk about how Night holders and ADA holders will soon be able to passively earn Night via Cardano staking?
With staking on Night is basically almost the same model with what's it called with Cardano. But I'm not going to say much about it right now because, like I said, I don't want to give this information. So what I'll just do is probably going to read more about it because as a program we're starting tomorrow, it's going to be discussed there and tell us how the thing's going to work fully well. So I think that's what we're going to do for now. So I don't really have much information on how that model works. I can talk about Cardano, but I can't talk about Night for now. That's it.
So in regards to some predictions for 2026, it's St. Nick's coming soon. It's about to be the end of 2025, and everyone is going to have this brand new mindset. 2025 was supposed to be the year of this crazy Giga Chad bull run, but now it's based off liquidity cycles. People are saying 2026. So do you have any bold predictions for ADA and Midnight in general in 2026?
Yes. Generally, the market now it's been disrupted. You understand? With the coming in of institutional liquidity, man, we it's quite a bit different. But if we see Bitcoin run up to 150K, if you can see Bitcoin run up to 150K, man, I can tell you that we would see it at $5. I'm telling you, if you can see that $5, and because it's the CNT, because Night is the CNT on Cardano, I believe I would see Night at $6 minimum. I'm gonna see Night at because, for example, look at Zcash, look at Zec. What happened recently? You saw the run in 4 weeks. Zec went crazy. It went from I think $40 to close to $700 in 4 weeks. So that's massive, and that's for the narrative. That's to tell you the potential of the of in the privacy narrative. So Night is going to have that kind of run, right? And especially these early stages, we're going to see way more than that. So for me, I believe I know that and I stand by what I said. I'm going to see it at $5. And I'm going to remind everybody, I've been saying, go to my expert, you see this. I've been saying this for as long as forever now. I'm going to say that $5. And if I say that $5, we're going to see Night at $6 minimum. And it's going to go from there.
That's a big statement. So that
Very big.
means, if in your eyes, if ADA hits $5, Night gets to $6. That means that Night is a much larger opportunity for gains over ADA.
Exactly, right? Anybody knows that because we've had an all-time high for Cardano, but we've not had an all-time high for what's it called? For Night. So if it's a no-brainer for you to invest in Night right now because it's currently extremely undervalued, right? So it's going to be much more profitable for you to hold Night than to hold what's it called? To hold ADA. And also at this price, it depends. People that complain about ADA are people that bought at $3. Some people bought it at $3. Some people that bought it at 4 cents, they don't have a problem. When I got onboarded to Cardano, that was 3 years ago. I bought it at I think $25, 25 cents. So generally, I'm at least I've made 2x. I mean, so currently I'm not in a loss. So the same thing. If you get in now, uh, right now, in the next 1 year, you're gonna be smiling. You understand? At the peak of the bull run. So if you can get the bull run to start off, because nobody knows. I can't tell you what's going to happen in the market right now because the market has been disrupted because of the entrance of institutions, the likes of BlackRock guys and all that big guys. So they've killed the market. And then as Donald Trump came in, it's a lot of launching a meme, sucked out liquidity from the market. Man, I can't tell what's going to happen right now. But if you see Bitcoin, and a lot of people have said that boldly, Charles have said that he sees Bitcoin at 250K in the next couple of, you've had him say it. So even, what's his name? The Bitcoin, the Binance guy,
CZ.
yeah, CZ, so the guy's this guy's crazy. I think on the macro, we can look out for, very, very big, massive opportunity. Take your eyes away from the short term prices and all those stuff on the long term. We know how crypto works. You understand? So it's a long term game. So yes, night is a much more better opportunity than Ada. But Ada is still gonna do well, but night, nah, night. Get into night.
So just to be speculative, then when Night launched, I believe its all-time high was 12 cents, and then now it's trading at around 6 cents or so. What do you think its near-term price is going to be over the next couple months or so?
Okay. I think for January, for the next couple of years, we're gonna see first of all break the $1, the $1 price. I'm gonna see it break. I expect it to break the $1 price. Probably, like I said, all this thing depends on how the market bees. But if you have that kind of run that we have with ZEC, man, I'm seeing ZEC. Sorry, I'm seeing Night close to $2 before June next year. I'm not even lying, right? Before June next year, I see night at at least $2. So at the peak of the bull run, night is gonna go way higher than that. So over the next 6 months, because of the stuffs we have, and other stuff, by the time keeps getting adoption, it's gonna fly, right? And I see it doing way better than Sui did, because I saw Sui move from, I think, that was 6 cents at the time because I met Sui at 6 cents, and in a couple of months, Sui rose to more than $2. You understand? I think something's gonna happen to tonight. So I think over the next 1 year, I expect a very massive pump for it. Yeah.
So that's going to be over a 10x in less than 12 months. So that's a
Yes,
massive opportunity.
yes, it's gonna be over a 10x. To be honest, like 10x is the bare minimum for me. Ben 10x.
And what specifically is going to get it there? It's going to make that happen.
Real world use cases, man. Real world use cases because Charles is not a VC guy, right? He's not really a VC guy, so he doesn't inject VCs. And if you look at his model, like I said, he's a peer-to-peer review guy. It's purely academic, you understand? So if at all he's going to run up, he's going to run up based on value, right? So if you look at the partnerships coming up right now, by the time these guys start building and liquidity start getting injected, and other stuff, not to run, not to really, really run. Yeah.
So last question for you then is where can the audience find you on socials? And can you maybe talk about what you do a little bit as well before we wrap up with Metra Protocol as well?
Yes. Oh, okay. So I run a marketing agency for blockchain protocols. We offer branding services, social media marketing services. We help you to launch a token and all that stuff. We help with token launches. And so yeah, that's what we do. We've worked a couple of teams. I think directly over the past 1 year, I've worked with about 5 teams over the past 1 year, and indirectly with about close to 15 teams, right? Close to 15 directly and indirectly. So yes, that's what we do. So work with projects to help them, token launches. Currently, I work with Metra Protocol. Metra Protocol is an asset. Beg your pardon. It's an on-chain asset management, product platform where they offer indexing services. If you understand what ETFs are, for the traditional finance, they should know about Metra Protocol because it's basically the same services, but right now it's on the blockchain. You get, so most of these guys live it, and a lot of projects like that. So currently, I work with them. I help them manage their community and the socials. So and I've worked with other projects too. So and yeah, that's what we do. So my handle is at Manuel on Chain. You can find me on at Manuel on Chain on Twitter. That's where I live. Twitter is our life. Twitter is basically that's where I work fully, and it's been a very smooth ride over the past few years. right? And I look forward to much more collaborations in the coming year. So yes, so
Great. Well, listen, man, I appreciate you coming on the channel. Guys, CoinZone followers, if you're watching this right now, go give him a follow on X. Some really great insight you're going to learn about Midnight and Ada if you follow his account. And once
exactly.
again, man, I appreciate you for sitting down with us.
I'm bullish on you, man. Thank you very, very much for bringing me here.